Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at Springbank 25 throughout the last 6 or 7 years. So, if you're a Springbank fan, especially a fan of the 25-year-old, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
For sure. Dustin and I love this particular version of Springbank. We love all Springbank. Dustin's a huge fan, has a great collection of them, but he's been collecting these 25s throughout the year. So let me tell you what we have. We have the recently reviewed 2021 batch of Springbank 25, and then we have the 2020, 2018, and 2016. Yep. So we don't have the 19 and the 17 in between. So real quickly, Dustin will go and tell you about the cask maturation difference in all of these and why we're going to take a different look at them. But same packaging pretty much every year as far as how the bottle looks, but on the back of these labels, it'll actually tell you on Springbank what year this particular vintage is. So Dustin, cask maturation, my friend?
So we start with the 16. This is bourbon and sherry, then married in a refilled port pipe. Mm-hmm. 2018 is going to be all sherry, but as you can tell from the color,
refill. Definitely
on the refilled side. The 2020 is a 50-50 blend, which is kind of Springbank's kind of go-to basic. They use that a lot.
50 bourbon, 50 sherry, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then this one right here is going to be 70% sherry, 15 rum, and 15 bourbon. And as you can see, they've actually been getting darker as the years go by for the most part. I can't really tell the difference between the 16 and the
18.
Actually, we're going to leave them sideways here, guys, because
honestly, might as well take a look at
what the front of the bottle looks like. Yeah. The color's kind of pretty.
Yeah, who wants to see that? Dustin, so again, all 46% ABV. Springbank, famous distillery.
Yeah, I mean, we should throw in 900 bottles, 1,200 of both of these, and this one they've upped it to 1,400. So they're trying to up the production. I think this was the last one at 900. I think 17, 18, 19, 20 were all 12, and then I believe 14 is the new record setter. So the biggest release yet.
So if you like Springbank as much as we do, man, I can't wait to get into this. All right, so these bottles our glasses are going to be represented just like the bottles here. We're going to go up in age again, 16, 18, 20, 21. Obviously, Dustin tried to get 17 and 19, just didn't work out. We're bringing what we got.
Yeah, they don't, unfortunately, these didn't sell very well in the past, so stores weren't quick to buy new ones. And then I don't know what happened in 19. I thought I had a bottle coming to me, but didn't work out, and then I thought I was going to get a split of a bottle with a friend, and it didn't work out. So
I don't think anyone watching this video is going to feel sorry for you. I think this is an embarrassment of riches when it comes to Springbank 25.
Most expensive video we've ever filmed?
Possibly. All right, let's get into it. All right, we'll start with the 16 first. We'll go nose, and then we'll go palate, and then put some water in and give our final thoughts. We're not really focused on every individual note, but just kind of what makes them different between the two. We've done individual reviews of all of these, yes?
Yes, everyone's been reviewed.
I have a Springbank playlist on the YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well.
Yeah, this is one of the best smelling whiskeys I've ever nosed.
This was always my favorite, Dustin.
Same, and it's the way that when they were first opened, this was definitely my favorite. The port influence here on the nose is really what makes this whiskey, to me, one of the best whiskeys I've ever had.
Nosing, it's so floral.
It adds this floral, but also this beautiful citrus, and then it beautifully integrates that nice 25-year-old oak. I mean,
you can tell this was the most exotic cask maturation of all of them.
And it's so candied. I mean, it's so candied on the nose.
Yeah, it is. This is everything I remember the 2016. I know Dustin and I have gone back and forth many times over what the best one is.
I mean, this is if you want a sweet, fresh, completely not funky Springbank. I don't know how you top this. I mean, it's just on the nose at least. It is absolutely. This is almost the Balvenie of Springbank 25s.
But I tell you what, I remember, as you know, I didn't warm up the Springbank as quickly as you did. But I remember what completely turns my attitude around about Springbank was that bottle of 25 right there.
Yeah, I remember us having it together.
And I was like, wow, this is good. And then, it helped me kind of appreciate, the 18 and the other things. It had facets of this, just not its whole. And then again, the single barrels we had since then. But this was the whiskey that I thought, this is a special distillery.
Yeah.
Because, again, this might be one of the best nosing whiskeys ever.
Yeah, I mean...
93, 94 in the nose. This is almost a perfect Campbelltown nose.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it's so refined. If you were looking for refinement in the nose and on a Campbelltown whiskey, I don't
2016, Springbank 25.
Yep.
I mean, it's like you're walking through a field with like lilies and daisies, and on top of that, it's just vanilla and just a nice oak note to it. It's just.
Like Mike said, we're just going to try to go through them quickly.
Yes,
the
yes.
differences, and he's just like,
all right.
And you know what? And as soon as you get to this 18, no, I've got high opinion of this one on the palate as it's opened up and oxidized. I think I like this one a lot more than when we reviewed it. Mm-hmm. But on the nose, Mike,
it's refill sherry.
Compared to the last one, there's just not much to it.
It's a really nice whiskey. It's a really nice nosing whiskey, just refill nose, but it's not nearly as complex as the 2016. It pales in comparison.
I do get a hint of smoke on this one that I didn't get at all in the last one, and it's just a hint. I mean, I don't know if it's peat or it's just wood smoke.
Wood smoke, yeah.
It's a hint.
I would say it's more wood smoke, but this having a more basic cask maturation, just refill sherry, it suffers as far as its complexity. I mean, again, this is like talking about who's the best basketball player or quarterback of all time.
It's got some candy. It's got the sherry notes, but you're right. It's refilled sherry,
right.
And
as Springbank 25 goes, it's a little boring compared to the others.
And it's a little, it's muted. It just in general, the nose is a little muted. Mm-hmm. Like not bad, just it's muted.
There's 3 or 4 dimensions there. It's just nothing that you think. Yeah. Oh, I'll remember that. Like you remember, exactly. You remember the 2016. I still remember the first time I had it, where I was standing. You know what I mean? That was a game-changing whiskey for that distillery.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, again, very nice nose. But I'm probably in the high 80s on the nose here.
Yeah, I was going to say I would say the 2016 has a nose of a 93. I would say the 2018 has an 88.
Yeah, 80, 89. I think is where it's at.
Sure. All right, going to 2020. And remember the cask maturation there? 50-50?
50-50, yeah. In fact, it actually reminds me of the 16 without the port. Like that port that kind of brought it all together and just added. I'm getting the bourbon. I'm getting the sherry. I'm getting a little more sherry here. I'm getting more bourbon. The casks are adding more to this one. They're a little darker here, so that's not surprising me.
No, you definitely get the interplay between the bourbon and sherry cask here. It almost feels like it's almost kind of welcoming to have that much of a bourbon cask influence because I think it kind of showcases the vanilla and the more sugary, sweet notes of the distillery.
Yeah, I mean it's. I think the sherry is winning out on this one a little bit for me, primarily in red fruit, and I think it's adding a little bit more of a spicy oak.
There's some spice to it. Yep.
Yeah, but then the bourbon's coming in. It's doing a really nice job of giving you
sweetening it up.
Yeah, and it's letting you enjoy the Springbank malt. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I would give this a nose of an 89-90.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, right there. All right, so check a look at the 21, which we recently reviewed. I believe we dropped that on Christmas. Oh, that's more sherried.
Yeah.
And this one has sherry and rum and bourbon, right? The
thing is, when we're kind of going back, when we're going back through this whole list, again, look at our video and we gave the nosy notes on this one. What stands out here is this is the most chocolate forward of the group by far.
Stinging sherry almost. The sherry casks in this one were more aggressive, more active than in any other ones.
Yeah. But I mean, again, the thing that jumps out, because I was getting some of the same sherry notes on the last one, just muted. Mm-hmm. This one's more intense, but vibrant. Again, it's the chocolate note that really jumps out that I wasn't really getting here. I wasn't really getting it here. And I don't remember any chocolate on this one.
No, 16. No.
16 is all fruit basket. This is chocolate. Comparatively.
Yeah, I would say, it's very sherry forward, very snappy sherry. And on top of that, again, there is a really nice citrus note to it. Almost citrus along with tropical fruit.
This might be the dirtiest of the group. And I mean, not in a bad way, but this is probably the closest one to bringing a little bit of funk. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that, I think, is just, again, aggressive sherry casking is providing us, and I'm assuming European oak, and it's creating a little more spice.
Yeah, I think it's cask. I think it's cask driven, not the raw Springbank.
I get just a hint of that Springbank salt sea element here that, again, I think is even amped up in this one over the others, which is why I've said before, Mike, this one comes off a little bit older, and this one comes off a little higher ABV than these other three.
Yeah, I just think the rum cast is putting a nice funky vanilla in this one that I really enjoy.
It's adding a funk for sure.
All right, let's get to the taste. We'll go back to the 2016.
Yeah, so Mike, I'll let you just jump right in there first. The 16 is as you guys can really get from that color, I mean, it is a subtle port finish they had to use here, and whatever sherry was in here was subtle too. But they're very specific on a refill port pipe.
It may be subtle sherry, but you pick up a lot of those like plummy. I would say more plum than fig, but a plum note to it, dark plum skin. I mean, you can I can almost taste the flowers in this thing. I mean, just really nice vanilla, candied vanilla, sugar, a little bit of baked goods. I mean, it's subtle, but it's rich. Mm-hmm. It's just, just a cookie and a sweet factory just running through a river.
And up front, it is all that. I mean, it almost reminds me of that Balvenie 21 single cask, which I just recently, I just poured a sample for somebody, and I, my fingers got a little bit on them, so I kind of did a little taste, and also I got to smell it. It reminds me of sort of that kind of bourbon element, but then enhanced with the. I think the port pipe's really the one adding the plum note you're talking about. I agree. There.
Yeah, it's really, that's something I've noticed on this before.
Really beautiful. There is a slight bitter, almost like a bitter flower note at the end, just a hint, and it really actually. When I first thought about that, I was starting to think maybe slightly off-putting, but actually it's a balancing element.
I always thought it was sashaying into just a bit of chocolate at the end. I know that I think we're picking up the same thing, but it almost felt like a bit of chocolate.
I mean, there is definitely some chocolate in here for sure.
All right, going to the 18.
Yeah,
18. I tell you what, go back and smell real quick. I get a little banana.
Do you?
A little creamy, sugary vanilla banana.
Actually, Mike, I'm getting like a little bit of lemon custard. Vanilla is definitely coming out, but I'm getting actually a little bit of like a lemon meringue. Yeah, maybe there's a little banana there too. Yeah.
I really like the sherry on that one. I mean, it's just, it's a little simple, sure, but it's just smooth milk chocolate cherry. I don't get as much as sweets, but they're still there comparatively. Twinge of spice, a little bit of baked goods, but not nearly as much as some of the other ones. What are you picking up?
I get Old World sherry more so than any other one of these, but because it's so refilled, it's subtle. But this actually, think about this. 25 years ago, this was put down in a cask at Springbank in 2016, and my bet is anything. This wasn't a short used barrel before that. I bet you this was probably at least 12-year maturation before that. So now we're talking 5 years ago, 25 years, so 30 years ago, and then another 12. So I'm thinking you're looking at that sherry cask probably was 40 plus years when it first got whiskey in it. And so, you think 5-10 years of sherry maturation. Now we're talking about a cask from like 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's kind of what I'm getting there. And what it does is it gives it this really interesting, more candied note up front. But then it doesn't seem to carry the pastry sweetness that the 16 carried, giving it kind of a thinner, more neutral, and then slight hint of like thin kind of oak bitterness comes in at the end.
Sure. Something you said that resonated with me was sort of the thinness of the chocolate. Mm-hmm. I do get that compared to the 2016, but I still think it like almost transitions after you let it linger for a while into just a nice cocoa. Like it almost feels drier and softer.
Chocolate and cocoa are here for sure, but it's the it lacks, or I wouldn't say lacks, but it doesn't have like the sugar cookie as much. Whereas this one's got a little more sugar cookie.
Sure.
So like this one starts off a little less sweet to me, the 16. This one starts a little sweeter on the 18, but this one stays sweet the whole way through. Whereas this one kind of
peters out,
thins out, because it's like candied sherry notes up front, and then the malt didn't seem to hold up as much here.
It's very much what it says. It's refill sherry, so it's nice, good old sherry.
Yep.
But it's gentle, it's relaxed. You know what I mean? It's not even say Springbank or Balvenie 15 single barrel sherry. It's even kind of lighter than that.
Oh, much lighter, yeah.
All right, we're going off to the 2020.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, the 18. There's something unique about it.
Yeah, it's a great taste. It is. It's just not. I've had a lot of whiskeys similar to that as far as the cask maturation.
Absolutely, as far as cask maturation. I just think the beauty of that one is, again, it took on a little bit more of a old school sherry note, whereas these other ones, they're still old sherry, but they're not quite as old.
Probably right.
So,
I mean, but it's not quite as punchy either as some of the other ones.
no. Yeah, maybe I think just age and time. And it also has probably these tannic notes. Again, the refill is helping out with that one. And I'm mostly just filling space here for Mike to taste it so we don't have dead air here.
Yeah, no, I would say that the 2020 is definitely a snappier whiskey coming from that one. Again, more of the bourbon notes, more of the bourbon flavors come up with this one, which would make sense. And getting a lot of vanilla. It is sweet, but you get kind of a nice sherry kick initially. But then they kind of, as far as the finish and the linger, it moves more and more in the bourbon cask. Vanillas, like vanilla cream, whipped vanilla, is sort of kind of the last linger, with again a little bit of sugar cookie sweetness at the end. I mean, different. I don't know if I like it better than the 2018. It's more aggressive, has a couple more changes, but it's not the 16. And I would say I would still prefer the 18 as far as the actual flavor compared to the 2020.
Longer finish on this one for sure. Definitely more bourbon, and you're starting to almost get like a whipped cream, not not the sweet like candy, but like stuff that people put in their coffee.
Okay, that's it.
Slightly sour, even kind of coming in there.
I never got quite to sour, but
and so it's kind of reminding again. It's bourbon cask, but it's been some time in those casks. And probably wasn't a first fill bourbon barrel by any stretch of the imagination there.
No, it was generally the whiskey.
Up front, though, I did get a little bit of grape, which I haven't gotten on these first two as much. This is more kind of reminding me of like kind of grapey cherry notes. That's really the distinct difference here. Definitely, as you said, a little punchier, a little sharper. Did a little bit more. Really good. None of these have jumped out as... These two don't jump out as that different. This one, I like the candy up front. This one, bigger and bolder.
Yeah. One you can tell had a little bit of bourbon cask maturation. One you can tell was just absolutely just a traditional sherry whiskey. Yep. It's still the 16, still on nose and palate as my vote. All right, so going to the 21.
As Mike spoils everything as he's giving us his play-by-play. All right, so yeah, this is going to be really kind of interesting because my expectation here is this is going to be bolder.
It is bolder. Chocolate is just, man, it's just coming on strong. Then spice, baking goods, cookie, sugar, predictable fashion. But man, I mean, this far more than the other three. Really, the experience is being driven. Right? I mean, again, it almost feels like it's a higher alcohol, the ABV.
Oh yeah, I mean, literally this.
Yeah. Like it's 4 points higher. It comes off that way.
I've said I could believe up to 50 on that one. And
comes off 4 points higher.
Comparatively, I mean...
It's the most aggressive one by far.
And, one thing someone might say is, hey, look, I mean, you're at like 60%, 50% on a couple of these. And this one obviously just got open.
Yeah, they're similar fill level.
Yeah, this has been open longer, but I mean, I think if we kind of test... Yeah, I mean, we're still...
It's over half.
It's over half, and I mean, it was obviously we just poured 2 glasses, so...
Yeah, no, you've got good amounts of all of these.
Yeah, none of these are, getting ready for the gassing stage where I got to start fearing for their lives. So
you're just getting better.
Yeah, the point is none of these have like really lost any significant alcohol, but memory is the same as initially. This one came off first glass, like, whoa, whereas all of these came off softer.
Yeah, no, this is a whiskey like I really committed to memory every time I've had it. So, no, I mean, 2016 was exactly the way I remembered it. 2018 the exact same way. So, I mean, the 20 was a little different than I kind of remembered it, but these have been remarkably consistent.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the one thing I've picked up on this one is, again, I think the candy and the sherry note has really enhanced itself. Either just my knowledge of what old school sherry tastes like has gotten better, and so I'm appreciating it more, or... I think the oxidation's helped that one a bit. This one, it's just always been awesome.
It's always been awesome, like from the beginning.
This one's probably my least memorable of the group. And I think the reason really is that it's that 50-50 Springbank bourbon sherry, which is so commonly used in their other bottlings.
It doesn't stand out, for sure.
Yeah.
They didn't take any chances.
At the same time, it's exceptionally well done.
All right, Dustin, I am ready to give you my order.
You want to try to go quickly through here real quick before we go into it with water? Since we've added water to every one of them.
Go ahead and you do it. I've been sniffing it. I'm ready to give my order. I will say in fourth place, 2020.
Okay.
Third place, 2018, and it was a lot closer than I thought because actually I like this 18 better today than any other time I tasted. And then I go the 21 second, and still my favorite is that 2016. It's just such a unique experience. Now, it's not as powerful as this 21. It's not as chocolatey or sherry goodness as this 2018, but it is the 2016 Springbank 25 is such a memorable whiskey. And every time I have it, it's the exact same experience. Where you at?
Man, I'm telling you what, like, water's actually made this even a harder challenge than it was before.
I'm just going to enjoy this 2016 and its victory. What's the least? Do you have anything for me? The least, the second, the third? What do you got?
It's honestly, it's a challenge. So I will say this, with water, the 21 does not do very well. It really doesn't need the water. These other three, the water did a lot for them.
I made the 18 real nice. It smells incredible.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
I almost put that second. And I know you always told me that was your favorite one. But I tell you what, since you added water to that 2018, the refill sherry, man, that is just a beautiful sherry Springbank dream right there.
I'm actually getting a little bit of mint now on it, which is a weird note, but getting a little bit of a mint.
It smells beautiful. Quit beating around the bush. Give the people what they came for. What's your order? King of Cincinnati Springbank.
If he'll ever be a Springbank sold in Ohio. All right. In last place is the 2020.
Yep. Agreed. And you're going 21 next. I can see it in your face.
In third place is the 2016.
Blasphemy.
Which I cannot believe I just did that. It's been my favorite to date.
Blasphemy.
And the reason is that with water, this 18 just...
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful whiskey.
It got richer. It added this level of, like, just candied sweetness. It's not as complex as the 16, but...
Nope.
Something about those old school sherry casks just blows me away.
If you're happy with beautiful, well done sherry casks and old Springbank distillate, look no further than 2018.
Yeah,
great way to spend your money. The 2016 is different, man.
The 16 I think is better without water as well. 20 and 18 water I think did a little bit, but the 2021 is my favorite of the bunch, Mike.
Still.
I love the funk that it brings with those sherry butts. I love the intensity, and I think the finish is the longest by far.
So you're going 21, 18, 16, 20.
Yeah. Let me tell you, the 18 and 16 were so close there, Mike. I almost just went ahead and said 16 over the 20, the 18, just because...
You've always told me the 18 was better.
No, I've always told you the 16. It's always been the 16 because of the nose.
Okay.
I've upped the 18 because of the palate. Last couple times we talked, I've told you that I like the 18 more because it shocked me how much better it got.
I feel you.
So
yeah, no, it's like most sherry whiskeys. It's with a little bit of oxygen, it comes in nice.
I mean, there's nothing under a 90 in this group, in my opinion. I know the 18 I think has gotten a few people to go below 90 in the past. Now that it's opened up, anything less than a 90 just feels wrong.
92, 91, 92, 91, 89.
Going 89 there?
Hot, strong 89, if that makes you feel better.
That's crazy. Pretty sure you gave it over a 90 when we did it.
I probably did. I'm seeing it in a new light. I love this 16. Man, that's a beautiful whiskey.
To be honest with you, Mike, I'd probably give all three of these 91. This is a 93. I always think of this. We've probably got 50 whiskeys each that we've scored, and not a 91, but a 90, let's say. Mm-hmm. Well, if you get a lineup of them, you're gonna definitely pick out which one you like more, but they're all still a 90.
We should do that sometime.
That sounds like a blast, actually.
Yeah, that'll be a long review like this one was. But this was one where it's a great whiskey, and since they do change it so much every year, it really is worth taking a look at because they are distinctly different.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody pours you one of these, you are not going to instantly say Springbank 25 because unless you've had a ton of Springbank 25, first off,
You don't know.
Like, they're just so uniquely different. And, you know, you could, again, if we brought in some 21s into this mix, I think some of the 21s would compete.
Sure.
And,
compete. It's a low end.
I mean, I don't know if I'd pick them as the favorite, but, I mean, that 2020 and 2019 21s.
No, they're both good.
Awesome.
Yeah, both good. One was port, wasn't it?
One had port, but had like black rum cask or something, where it was like dark.
Yeah, those are good whiskeys too.
I think both actually might have been.
Yeah, but that you know, people do look for these. You know, like, hey, I'm looking for a Springbank 25, and the first thing I said, what are you looking for? And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, they're like, it's the same every. Like, it's not the same every year. It's not like something that. I mean, say even Laphroaig 25. That's pretty consistent, even though sometimes it's only bourbon.
They've done 2 bourbon only releases,
right? And but even if you do the bourbon and sherry, it's a fairly consistent experience. These are drastically different.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Springbank is. I mean, they're 21s, constantly changing.
Always changing.
18s have had. I mean,
there is no standard 25 Springbank, I guess is my point.
Yeah,
or like a 21.
Honestly, I think the 15 is the only whiskey they're fairly consistent with. It's always all sherry. Otherwise, they are more than happy to play games with every batch, and I love it.
Yeah. Anyway, those are our thoughts on the Springbank 25. If you guys had a chance, I mean, this is a very limited whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try any of these, let us know what you think. Let us know what year you have and what you thought of the whiskey. And if you had more than one, I mean, are we crazy? Is it that much different every year? It feels like it.
Yeah, let us know, guys. And, you know, at the very least, you know, if you guys see one of these at a bar, this is the first pour I would do of the night.
Yeah, 46, unless you're doing something like a light Balvenie or something beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, if you want to do something like a 43% whiskey or something, just to kind of get yourself acclimated to alcohol. But this should be your first bottle of real note.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, Mike, I'd love to hear more people's thoughts on these because I love them.
Yep.
I keep buying them, and they are not cheap.
Not easy to get either.
No. That's just a rare thing. Usually expensive is a little easier to get.
Usually. Not anymore.
These are lottery bottles in places.
Always a hard bottle to get. Always a hard bottle. Anyway, we want to thank you for once again joining us for another whiskey review. Until next time, Dustin, what do you wish the folks?
Happy 25-year drinking.
See you next time.